This is the limestone lowdown. Hear the sound when you lie through the issues all around. From every corner, let's make it clear. The change we need is starting here.
Hi everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Limestone Lowdown. Today we're going to talk about the December 8th, 2025 City Council meeting and a few other things going on in Limestone County.
So this was the City Council meeting the day after the Christmas break. It was on Sunday, the 7th. Unfortunately, it had gotten rained out on the Thursday. It's typically set the first Thursday of December every year, and I guess it's just a busy time of year, so there really was no other option for the city.
And apparently there was a lot of flack about it and everything else, people complaining. It's like, again, there's like all kind of parades. It's already planned out. I think even either Elmont or Ardmore delayed their parade as well, so they had a backup date. So the city put it on Sunday. I have no issue with that. I'm glad they at least did it. I mean, they could have just canceled it. So I guess I don't understand. I mean, I guess people are always going to complain about something, but I give the city 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, it was a great parade.
It wasn't as cold as last year.
Yeah, we did. We had a good time. Our kids had a good time. Yeah, I guess there was, and it was weird. Normally Athens is like the last band, so I don't know if there wasn't as many, if all the bands weren't able to participate because of, various things. I had saw that there was potentially like permission slips, issues. I don't really know, but we ended up having to leave because there was a big, huge gap, and we have little ones, and so we kind of had to, there was a big gap, and it kind of just ended, and then we come to find out that there was a gap in the parade. I don't know if it's because of the train. We had heard that there was one of the performers that was stopping and doing an entire performance, every so far, so there was a big, huge gap, and but some of the floats were funny. We enjoyed it. We had a good time. So yeah, it was definitely warmer than it was, but there's lots of holiday events going on. I know Saturday, December 13th, there is the Sip and Cider around the square, so go get your last minute Christmas stuff shopping and go do some of the cider testing, get your votes in. So yeah, fun stuff around.
Shop local, right?
Shop local. So this was a fairly short meeting. I think we were out within 30 minutes. It was pretty short. So there was one public hearing related to the zoning approval for the sale of alcohol. Shishimi Asian Bistro. That is the new Asian restaurant that is going
right off the square on Jefferson Street.
On Jefferson, close to Rose Grill, across from the Southern Table and UG White's. So there was no comment on that. We did have one public comment that was a gentleman got up and was talking about, there was an agenda item about opioid money, a fund from the Athens Opioid Fund for the fire department, and he just mentioned about that we needed more
education.
Yeah, on opioids
instead of prosecution.
Right. So then we go into the consent calendar. Resolution to approve the lounge retail liquor for the new liquor store off of 72 at Lucas Ferry.
That we can talk about now.
Yeah.
It says liquor store on the outside of it.
Well, yeah, because when it was being built, I had, months ago asked, hey, I've heard that this is what's going there. They denied that happening, and it was not long after that, liquor store was on the outside of it. It was just funny. Resolution to approve travel education expenses for the personnel, the planning department, the amount of $560. Resolution to approve travel education expenses for the personnel, the cemetery, parks and recs department for $17.93. Resolution to approve the purchase of laboratory equipment for Viola WTS analytical instruments for the water treatment plant, $26,405. Then we go into the regular meeting, ordinance further amending a contract
that's been like an ongoing thing, a company trying to purchase some land or additional land. I don't really remember, but Shane Black said it was just an extension of that. So,
resolution to approve the purchase of 3 PowerHeart semi-automatic defibrillators, $5,800 to be funded from the City of Athens opioid fund for the fire department.
and there's $390,000 left in that, but it can only be used for certain things like this. So it's brought up the last city council meeting that this would be great to use for all the defibrillators and to outfit all the police cars with those, because currently all the fire trucks already have that. So I think that's a great thing, and I hope they keep moving forward with that and get them in all the police vehicles.
And then our last item was resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into agreement with Amble Studios to provide schematic design services for the structure located at 105 West Hobbs Street for $16,500 to be funded from the FY 2022 General Fund Surplus Capital Projects Fund. So that is the old bank building across from
City Hall,
where they're using that as kind of like a parking lot. There's also 2 cars that almost like appear to be abandoned or run down or don't work. They've got like flat tires. One of them's a convertible with like a torn top, and those really need to be removed, because I know we're not even allowed to really have like extended parking like that. But
exactly.
They have moved some people out of City Hall to other buildings that the city owns, because we are growing. Our city employee numbers are growing too. So I don't know if they're going to make that into like a parking lot, if they're actually going to build something there. So that's going to be interesting. In Amble Studios, I don't have anything against them, but I think that the guy that owns that is actually on like the planning commission. So it's interesting, because like these things like this have to go through like the planning to make these recommendations, and then you get to recommend your company to be the one that gets the project. I mean, I know these aren't like paid positions, so it's not really considered a conflict of interest, but
just the optics of
you're
it.
getting to use your volunteer position and I get it, we don't really have another company in Athens that does those types of like architectural things, but I don't know, I guess just the optics of it, especially when you have other people that have like applied to be in those positions.
Look at that.
So then that's really all that we had. We had 2 public comments. One was Mr. Justin gotten up, talking about the pool, and he was talking about the benefits of water aerobics and how
anybody can do it. He said anybody in this room could do it.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that the city is in the process of trying to find us a spot to build that.
I'm still banking on the old tri-green thing, because it's just perfect over there.
I just don't see how unless they're going to extend behind it for parking, and
you can do all that. Yeah.
So, and then I got up. We had some interesting conversations this week. So there's been a lot of stuff that's going on across the state of Alabama this week. So I got up and I asked about a cannabis medical marijuana dispensary coming to Athens, and we had heard about this meeting that was happening on Thursday, December 10th at the state level, and I just had gotten up asking our city council and our mayor, hey, what's the status of a local dispensary, medical marijuana dispensary coming to the city of Athens? Is there a plan in place to bring that here? If so, what does that look like in the next 6 to 12 months? And they just kind of were
acting like they didn't know anything. No, there's nothing.
That they would have to go through the state and all this stuff, which I never denied that they had to go through the state, but what conversations are going on behind closed doors about this meeting that's coming up? Again, whether they want to act like they didn't know about it, but literally 3 days after the meeting, there was the cannabis Cannabis Commission within the state met. This has been something that has kind of been on hold, for the last 4 or 5 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Because it was 22 is when it first started getting brewed up.
So they have approved for 4 LLCs to come to, or open up in the state of Alabama, right?
Yes, and then each one can have 5, I think it's either 3 or 5 dispensaries underneath each of those, umbrellaed underneath them.
So basically we're looking at having 12 to 15 or so dispensaries across the state. So one of them is, let's see, we've got RJK Holdings LLC, CCS of Alabama LLC, Yellowhammer Medical Dispensary LLC, and then GP6 Wellness LLC. So, funny thing, back in November of 2022 was when the city of Athens put this on the agenda
And it was voted
unanimously that, hey, yes, whenever this state finally passes what they passed December 10th, 2025, whenever the state passes that, that is going to allow for dispensaries to come into the city of Athens. Well, 6 months later, Harold Wells started having second guessings about, hey, we understand that it's medical marijuana, but we know that those types of things always get abused, and that those things are gateways into other drugs. And he's like, I just don't want to bring that here. And how did that vote go?
So Harold Wells and Wayne Harper voted against it. Danny Henry and James Lucas voted for it, and Chris Cyber abstained. So since there's not a majority, this was to repeal what happened the year before. So since there was a majority, it held. Nothing changed.
And Chris Cyber abstained because he has been involved in medical supplies, and he said that could potentially affect his, profit, that he didn't want to sway the vote one way or the other, and so he abstained. Well, if you do some digging, like we do, Chris Seibert actually started an LLC, Red Clay Pharmaceuticals, in August of 2022, just 3 months prior to this getting put on the agenda. And this is for when it was passed. So this was, and it goes back to just like with whenever, showing that these things are planned well in advance, that this is just like the rubber stamp that, hey, these are all these meetings that are going on behind closed doors, these discussions that are going on. This isn't the discussion. The discussion's already happened. The agenda's already been set. So in August of 2022, Chris Seibert has partnered with a family on some newbie land for this Red Clay Pharmaceuticals. So you got Red Clay Farms, and then you have Red Clay Pharmaceuticals that was started in August of 2022. November of 2022, the city passed the ordinance saying that we can have these medical marijuana dispensaries whenever the state of Alabama lifts this. And then Harold Wells started no, we don't want to do it. He wanted to have it changed, but it was only a 2-2 vote, and so it stood. And there were 3 people that got up and spoke, some for, some against. So there were several people that got up and talked about in support of or against the medical marijuana. Dr. Joe Cannon, that was one that I found to be very interesting, that he addressed the city council and remarked that he researched medical marijuana. Dr. Cannon stated that he witnessed several people that could benefit from the drug, especially those who suffer from seizures. He noted that a required test must be taken and passed in order to prescribe cannabis, and believes it will be very well regulated through the state of Alabama. Okay, we say that because just bear with us on this story. Okay, so then this was, there was another one, Mayan and Ivani Patel. They are representing GP6 Wellness, a business that has applied for a dispensary license within a proposed location in Athens. Mr. Patel is a pharmacist and gave the council a background of the programs. He noted that patients must fail conventional therapy in order to receive this type of medication. Mrs. Patel is a local attorney and stated that the regulations are very stern and the decision made by the City Council will affect their application. Mr. and Mrs. Patel asked the City Council to uphold their original decision for the cannabis ordinance that was passed in November of 2022.
So let me stop you there. Who did you say they were with?
GP6 Wellness.
Okay, and remind me, is that the same one that you said earlier?
It is.
Look at that.
So that
coincidence, right?
Not a coincidence.
Oh, come on.
There's no such thing as coincidences. So it's just very interesting to see that this stuff is planned, the partners that are involved, that this goes all the way to the state level. Very interesting how this is going to play out. But just to bring that full circle, so now you've got a doctor who potentially could be the one to sign off on this cannabis dispensary.
Yes.
You've got a pharmacist and a local attorney who are husband and wife who want to open a dispensary in Athens. And oh, by the way, they are one of the 4 that are approved at the state level as of December 10th, 2025. And then we have a sitting city councilman who has partnered with a family on a pharmaceutical to be able to grow on this land. Man.
My goodness.
So now we just got it all set up and we are just waiting on go. And then you ask at city council, what's the status on this? What is this? What's the plan for it? And they're like, we don't have a clue. Well, Chris Seibert was mid-sentence and the mayor...
Yeah, the mayor cut him off. I did notice that. And if you want to see that video, it is posted out there. Because, live stream's still cut off, but we record everything. So that video of you asking him that is out there. And you can see Chris Seibert gets like 3 words out and the mayor shuts it down, cuts it off.
Well, and it's going to be interesting because, I wonder if the other council members know about it.
The new ones.
Or if they are just,
So I think we should say we're not for or against cannabis, whatever. That's not what the issue is. The issue is specifically Chris Seibert's involvement in it, and that he is a sitting city councilor and can control whether you abstain from it or not. You know how other people are going to vote, so you knew that vote wasn't going to be canceled. And then you had prior knowledge to this to start this 3 months before it even started within the state. That's where the issue lies, not in the pot. It could, like you said, I think, bring up your little article that you posted and read that. It's not about pot. It's about anything that is unduly controlled, unduly influenced from somebody that's sitting on city council.
It goes back to public service. Like you are in this for the public. You're not in this for yourselves. And this is why you have talked about there needs to be term limits, because once you get in a position of power, it's like, oh, what can I do to benefit myself?
Exactly.
And I think that that's human nature. Like this just happens to have the appearance that he is using his position to set up himself and his friends to control the narrative, to profit money. And nobody's saying, hey, like, you can't do this. It's like, just give up your position as a city councilman and go do your business.
Exactly.
But you shouldn't be allowed
to do both. You shouldn't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, so let me pull that up. On Thursday, December 11th, 2025, the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission took a significant step forward in the implementation of the state's medical cannabis program. The commission approved licenses for medical marijuana dispensaries, marking one of the most substantial regulatory milestones since the program was authorized by the state legislature in 2021. These These dispensaries are part of the broader effort to finally make medical cannabis available to qualifying patients in Alabama. The program, which has been delayed for years by legal challenges, administrative issues, and litigation, is now moving closer to opening to patients with dispensary operations potentially beginning in 2026. These developments stem from the medical cannabis framework established when the legislature passed the Alabama Compassion Act in 2021, Senate Bill 46, which legalized medical cannabis for qualifying conditions and set up a system of regulated cultivation, processing, the dispensing, key points for public awareness. The license approved, the commissions voted December 11, 2025, marks the first set of approved dispensary licenses under the Alabama's medical cannabis program. Although medical cannabis legalization passed in 2021, patients have yet to see products on the shelves due to ongoing administrative and legal challenges, a common situation in states establishing new regulatory systems. The next steps with license approvals now underway. The next phase will involve facility building out and preparing to dispense medical cannabis to qualified patients, with expectations that could occur in spring or summer 2026. Why this matters: even though medical cannabis is regulated at the state level, municipal policy and local zoning decisions matter, because cities may determine where dispensaries, cultivation sites, processing facilities can physically locate within their borders. Local governments often have planning, zoning, and permitting authority that affect whether and how such businesses can operate. Understanding how state-level licensing interacts with local ordinances help residents and officials stay informed as market activity begins in communities like Athens.
Look at that.
So, all of that to say that this has already been thought out, it's been planned, they've been waiting on this day to happen, and we will just sit back and wait and see how the trickle-down effect is going to go.
It's funny how, like you just explained it perfectly, that this stuff is years to come about, right? It don't just happen overnight. But yet, somebody didn't have business license, and we're supposed to just believe it was a simple oversight. I just didn't know. Yet we can plan out all this right here.
We can set up the foundation.
Okay.
We can set up the foundation and the plan for the next big thing that's going to hit Athens, where you're going to monopolize and control the entire narrative for our, local Limestone County and Athens. It's just very interesting. Very interesting. So, next big thing that's been going on across the state is Eli Lilly just announced that they are going to build a $6 billion...
That's with a B.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that right.
$6 billion plant in Limestone County. A huge win for the state of Alabama. It's supposed to bring 450 new jobs. Add that with the Space Force, and add that with the FBI is set to bring a new training facility to Redstone Arsenal with like 4,000 agents by 2030. So, one of the big things that's been in the news for constantly over the last few years, but really longer than that, has been annexation. So this property is actually going to be in Limestone County. It's annexed into Huntsville City. One of the biggest complaints with county people is stop the annexation, and infrastructure, utilities, sewage, all of the things. And infrastructure is not just roads. And so Huntsville is going to be reaping all of the benefits, yet Limestone County and Athens Utilities is going to be the ones that's going to be responsible for the infrastructure, the road improvements, and all of those things. And so
the power in the water.
And then on top of that, we've already got like 10,000 new houses on the horizon. Our whole playing field is going to look completely different over the next 5 to 10 years. It's not even going to look the same out here. But people are so aggravated at the constant annexation of what's going on.
Absolutely. And I guess the biggest thing is the continuous from politicians that we can't do anything. And I guess that's what we're getting tired of hearing is we can't do anything. I mean, the private landowner can do whatever they want to. We can't do anything. People don't want us to do anything. And I just don't think that's the case anymore.
Well, I think it's a difference of people don't want us to do anything. Okay, so people live out in the county for a reason. You're right. They do not want city zoning implemented on their county land. And that's where people are like, oh, if you want to build a pole barn, they don't want to put the restrictions. Nobody's trying to do that. But there is a state senator, Arthur Orr, who have talked to several local residents when the asphalt plant and with the rock quarry was coming in Belmina. And this Alabama Code 45-42-260, the Limestone County Commission may divide any territory at its discretion within the county, but outside of the corporate limits of any municipality in the county into a business, industrial, and residential zones or districts, including, but not limited to, zones or districts where blasting may be carried out and the terms and conditions under which blasting may be carried out, and may provide the kind, character, and use of structures and improvements that may be erected or made within several zones or districts established, and from time to time may rearrange or alter the boundaries of the zones or districts, and may also adopt ordinances as necessary to carry into effect and make effective this section, provided, however, agricultural and forest property assessed for an ad valorem tax purposes as value is defined in a different section shall be zoned as agriculture and forestry. Anyways, any zoning ordinance adopted pursuant to this section may be enforced by the county commission by an action for injunctive relief to the circuit clerk of Limestone County.
And I would like to add that in a lovely AL article from 2024, our Senator Orr, who, let's remind, he's a state senator, and he happens to be a lawyer himself, so kind of an expert, said, and this is a direct quote from him, he also believes the Limestone County Commission has the authority to stop it from being built. This is talking about the rock quarry, okay? They've got a capacity under a local law passed years ago that they can regulate and prevent quarries like this from blasting. Or I don't know where they stand on that, but I've been in touch with the commissioner who represents the area. They can put a stop to it. But then in this same article, Chairman Daley is saying, I don't know what we can do. I don't know if we can do anything. What? Senator Orr just said you could. And then now you're saying that you don't know if you can. I don't know about you, but an expert just told you could. So how is it you don't think you know if you can? An expert on the matter just told you could.
Well, and then too, like this particular about Eli Lilly. This has been talked about for years in advance, planning this, things like that. But that is where our local government is going to have to get out ahead of the game. You have the ability to set these zoning changes, because here's the thing, it sounds like that it's a great piece of land. We could have annexed that. I mean, it's within Limestone County. We can annex that into the city of Athens and expand the city,
get all the benefits from it. Again, it's not about, it sounds like the Eli Lilly is a great thing. Rock quarry, not so much. Eli Lilly, yes, absolutely. But Huntsville they're getting all the cake and we're getting all the fat, quite frankly. And then for the politicians to continually say, we can't do anything, you can. And it's come to a point, this is election season, this is going to be a main bone of contention.
For me it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're going to trumpet it from the hills, and everybody that'll listen, you can do something, and it's on you to do something. That's what the people want. This is a
low turnout election. Well, I don't know. I mean, the primaries are in May. It is a governor election. Hopefully people will get out. You just want to know that, we're not just, because it's, they are true in saying, and, we understand that there's a lot, Huntsville has talked to a lot of landowners. They have first right of refusal, but there has to be some sort of plan in place that is going to protect what is ours over the next 10 years. We have to get out ahead of the game. We cannot throw our hands up and say there's nothing that we can do. You can, if Huntsville wants to annex that land, they can, but you're just going to put up parameters and things that says, hey, you're not going to put this on this land. If that's going to go there, that's going to be annexed into Athens City, and we'll put it there. But that's where Limestone County needs to protect its borders to where it's not being taken into another municipality. And that's what this code protects. It protects the county land from not being taken over by outside municipalities.
Absolutely. You don't want to stop somebody from building a bar if they want to, but I doubt they want Huntsville to annex them.
And it's not like the
either.
parameters you put, like you can put particular zoning on certain areas of land. It doesn't just have to be what they implement in one part is applicable to the whole county. You can put those zoning permits on particular areas of land.
Absolutely.
And so is that going to be more work? Is it something that's outside of the norm? It's not status quo that we've always done, but it is something that we have the ability to do. So anyways, there is lots more to come. There's a lot of things coming up within the state over the next few weeks. So stay tuned, guys, and thank you so much for listening. So till next time.